topic is going to be related to all the sacred, the profane, the time, the sacred time, the profane time, and also the gods that are related to space and time in astrology. So Hierophany is what is called is the manifestation of the sacred. So hierophany occurs when man gets in touch with sacredness. A hierophany occurs when it refers to something that manifests itself on this plane, but it speaks of something that is beyond. For Eliade, this is the manifestation of the sacred. So we can see the sacredness of everything, of nature, of a tree, of a stone, of whatever we find. But what is going to be important is the meaning or the intention we are going to give to this stone, to this tree, to this place, whatever it is. What is going to happen with hierophany? Hierophany is going to make us contact with the sacredness and to generate a transformation in ourselves. This transformation is going to be between like birth, death, and regeneration. So that's the intention of hierophany, and to contact the sacredness of whatever we have to do with this mysterious and this sacred place. What's going to happen, where we are going to get into the sacred space. Sacred space is going to be something very important, because in the inside of the sacred space, we are going to contact with this change, and outside is going to be or represented this part of the chaos. So we are going to have the chaos, and we have to go into our inside to see what's happening with us. Usually when we go to a temple or we go to a church or whatever, it's like going into the womb of our mother, of Mother Earth, and where we are going to be like hold, and we are going to be pampered, and we are going to be protected, and to get into these thresholds that always are going to get us to live like emotions like anguish or sadness or whatever. So whenever we go to this, through this threshold between life and death, we are going to receive like this change. Usually when we go to a temple or to a church, we are going to see that the church even is built like a womb. So we are going to enter this womb, and we're going to feel like protected. These are going to be the limits from the sacred and also from the profane. So the thresholds, for the thresholds, we are always going to look for special guardians, the guardians that are our gods or God or the angels or whatever we believe in. We feel that we have to get through this space, because it means like the limits of space where we are going through these thresholds. So thresholds are always going to be magical spaces. On the one hand, they represent a separation, and on the other, a union with something mysterious and sacred. Usually death is mysterious. Nobody knows about death. And each threshold, when we need to change something, or we are in this place where we are changing, we go through this threshold. The sacred, always the animal and the vegetable worlds are part of this cosmic sacredness. So whenever we see a tree, or whenever we see the sunset, and we contact this special feeling that it's sacred, it goes beyond, because God is speaking through nature, and it's manifesting himself or the gods. We in astrology, we are related to all these gods. So the sacred, or the tremendous et fascinatus, is not a concept of the sacred, but a kind of trembling. that has to do with something that is attractive and terrifying, and the two emotions meet with the experience of the sacred. So whenever we meet this part, or we go into a temple or a place, or we say nature, the manifestation of nature, and we shiver inside, that means that we are touching the sacred place. Something sacred is happening in us. So we have the profane and we have the sacred. So the sacred is always circular, and the profane is linear, the linear thinking about profane. So usually people that think that they are not believing in anything, that's not true, because their roots are always related to a religious experience. So when they see animals or nature, or when they have planted a tree and this tree starts to flourish and to give fruits and to give blossoms. So there is a place where even the person who really thinks, the largest atheists, can't say that they do not believe. So the profane thinking usually is linear. The sacred thinking is going to be circular. Circular as it is with astrology. So in astrological thinking, we are always going to think in a circular way, because our language is going to go from one point to the other. It's no end. It's beginning and no end. So in a linear thinking, the linear is going to go from one point to the other. So man never does anything if it's not like a model. So for the Roman temples, they were built with 4 sides and the shell with 365 stones. So it's like this part where we are going to have two times. We are going to have the chronological time, and we're going to have also the kairos time. Kairos time is the kairos. It's the time where we get to have this meaning, when we are going to get into ourselves and have this relationship with something mysterious, something fascinating, something that's going to create in us like an anguish, but it's going to have this transformation. We also are going to see, when we contact our sacred part, there's always going to be this part between light and shadow. So when we see the manifestation of the planets, of the sun, of the moon, we're always going to see and live this this feeling of something that's giving us light, and on the other side we are going to contact our shadow. So the shadow is always this part we do not see, this mystical and magical part. So when we enter a sacred space that is hermetically close to the temporal environment, so we are going to live like different parts. It's like if we are having this Pluto transit or whatever difficult transit, we are always going to experience like purges, the need for purification, confession of sins, drive away demons, extinguishing and lighting the fire. That's going to be important. The masked procession, entertainment with the dead and the farewell, fighting between enemies. Which are the enemies? Usually the enemies are the enemies we have inside of not understanding. Our rational part of the mind is really not understanding what it is happening. In each of these situations, it is necessary to purify the profane, the chaos. There is a moment in which the fire must be put to an end. Everything goes out. There is no light. It must be lived to light the new life.